Are we there? Do we have
I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Awesome.
my first stream of the new year, and I already messed it up. That's okay.
No, it's all good. I was thinking of something on my end because like I had some issues myself right before I got here.
No worries. Very belated Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year too, Raymond. It's good to see you, my friend.
Really good to see you. How are things going so far?
It's like this.
Yeah.
It's like this.
Yeah, you've had a crazy last couple of months, but I'm happy you're here, and I'm happy to be talking to you about the WWE 2023 Royal Rumble, the first PLE of the new year.
Yes.
In general, what did you think of the show?
Overall, I think it was one of the better Rumbles we've had in a while. It's not an all-time great, but it was very good. It was a very good Rumble overall.
Yeah, I feel pretty similarly to you. I enjoyed both the Rumble matches. I enjoyed the main event. Some of the other stuff, not so great.
Yeah, the middle there was kind of a slog. I tweeted out that like while the women's championship match for Bianca versus Alexa was fine.
Yeah.
It could also have just as easily been a match in the third hour of Raw.
Completely agree with you. Completely.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing between those two is the continued involvement of Alexa and somehow with Bray and his personalities and the funhouse and all that other stuff, which is why I also thought the booking was interesting because I would have flip-flopped it. I would have had the women's title match right after the men's Rumble and then done the Pitch Black match and then somehow incorporated Alexa into the Pitch Black match.
Yeah, I could see that. That could have worked.
Yeah.
But let's go down the card, starting with the men's Royal Rumble match. I have mixed feelings about it. It wasn't the most interesting Rumble in terms of surprises.
Yeah.
But I'm very happy that they pushed a lot of new talent. I love what they did with Gunther.
Absolutely.
Let him shine. I think he's a great talent. And I love that when they highlighted a lot of the new guys instead of going through all the classic stuff. How did you feel?
Yeah, I mean, I feel kind of the same way. I think Gunther was him, and we'll get to Rhea later. Those are the two MVPs of the entire night, hands down. And I think at this point, to me, Gunther has to drop the IC title to Sheamus at Mania. Let Sheamus get his career Grand Slam.
Yeah.
And then Gunther has to be immediately inserted into the main title picture.
I hope so.
I want to see, and we'll get into this later, but I want to see Cody versus Gunther at SummerSlam for the Universal Undisputed Championship, should they still be one title at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that Gunther more than proved that he is, first off, the IC champion is again the hardest worker in the company.
Yeah.
He proved that he can stand with anyone in the ring. And to me, he is he instantly became a superstar in that moment. The ring, shada!
I still wish he were Walter, and I kind of missed. How do you feel about thinner Gunther? I miss fat Walter. I thought he was scarier.
I agree. I felt he was a more imposing figure in the ring because, I mean, the way the WWE roster looks right now, at least the main roster, 6'5", 250 is like 50% of the roster.
Yeah, right.
So when he was more like 325, and I also understand the name change. I can understand that Vince being like, we can't have a champion named Walter. That doesn't roll off the tongue like Gunther does, I guess. But I understand at least the name change, but definitely forcing him to slim down. He is a less imposing figure.
Yeah,
100%.
I mean, I understand that it's better for his health and his long-term career, but when he was bigger, that guy scared the crap out of me. Now he's a little awkward looking now that he lost weight. He still kicks ass.
Yes, well, and that was the thing that I was always worried about is that, like, would the chops still carry that weight?
Yeah.
Would the hits still carry that weight? And fortunately for him and for all of us, they do. but he definitely cuts a very different image in the ring as a man who's dropped a lot of weight. But good for him. And again, an amazing showing at the Rumble. And really for a lot of guys, Sheamus had a great showing. Drew McIntyre had a great showing. Really the first 10 guys aside from the Miz, which I thought was funny that they worked that into Raw, was the first man eliminated.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a really good showing for a lot of guys. I was a little disappointed to see the Street Profits as unceremoniously treated as they were. They were both in there for, I think, less than 5 minutes.
So.
On
a side note, I did not notice how big Montez has been getting. So good for you, man. He's been working out and he's looking good.
Yeah, I mean, there's always been rumors circling. There's not always, but for a while now that those two are going to get split up at some point.
Eventually, they have to. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that if Ford continues to bulk up, he'll definitely obviously have the physique of a main eventer and a singles guy. And I think Dawkins is fine where he's at. And I think it'd be interesting to see what they do with those two. But I was kind of I will say that they were it was a bit of a shock how disappointing their Rumble was and their Rumble moments.
Right. In terms of big surprises, who was there? There was Booker T and
that's really it.
Yeah. So that was disappointing from that standpoint. As was for me, the winner, to me, it was never not going to be Cody. So there was no suspense there for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the worst thing WWE did was those montages for a month that Cody was coming back at the Rumble. And then we knew he was going to be 30. And like, we get it. We understand. But much like Cena all those years ago when he was a surprise at 30, I think it would have been much more impactful if Cody showed up as 30 at the Rumble, even though we would have known in that moment that he was going to be the guy going over.
Right.
You would have had that suspense up until that moment. Whereas getting all these montages and Cody's like, rushing back, it's been 7 months and blah, 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 lifting the weights. And like, we get it, dude. We get it. You're going to win the Rumble and you're going to probably win the title at Mania. We get it. Like, nothing is worse than predictable storytelling in wrestling. And I think that was the most predictable scene we've seen since Triple H took over creative.
Yeah, way too much foreshadowing there. At least for me. I mean, the crowd seemed happy with the results, though. The internet fans seem happy and totally cool with that. It just seemed too obvious. So
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little surprised at how over Cody is. A bit. Like, I mean, to me, he's as vanilla as his cream-colored suit was last night on Raw. Like, I get it. You're doing it for Dad. You're doing it for the family. We get it. Give me something else. Like, it's been, you know what I mean? Like, it's been this for a long time. And honestly, when he comes out in a suit and tie to open up Raw, I just keep thinking, like, please turn heel. Please be a corporate champion. Please give me something else. You don't come off as a face. Yeah. When you look like that, you say the same thing over and over again. And it just, I know he's not going to turn. He doesn't want to turn heel. He refuses to turn heel. But, like, at this point, you've become the WWE guy of just doing the same 5 things over and over again, and I'm already sick of it. I don't care if you're the American Nightmare, you're the American Night Terror, you're the American Tempur-Pedic mattress, you're the American Sleep Number, you're the American Wet Dream. I don't care what you are at this point. I'm sick of it. Like, I'm done. Like, it's like, all right, whatever. Like, I'm over it. I'm sorry.
Same. Now, despite all that, I mean, my big takeaway, like you said, Gunther is a star now.
Yes,
so that will be the standout for the men's Rumble match.
Yes. I also want to quickly say I hope Kofi Kingston is okay.
Oh yeah, that looked nasty. That was
we know that he was being set up for his miracle comeback into the ring again, but there was a terrible botch on the outside, and you just hope that Kofi is okay. And otherwise, Xavier Woods might be the New Day. He just might be Xavier for a while because that was a really nasty spill. And we still don't know Big E's condition and when or if he's coming back. So that was my dark horse surprise. I was fingers crossed. I was hoping that Big E was going to come back at the Rumble.
That would have been sweet, but way too soon.
Yeah.
So Carlos says, can't call yourself the American Nightmare and be a face. Fair point.
Nickname doesn't really work for a face. That's kind of true. It's kind of true. That's a good comment.
Well, you just gave him like 15 alternatives, so maybe he could pick one of those.
I would love the American sleep number to come out. Find out what his sleep number. Him and Dak Prescott can do commercials together. As they have nothing better to do, at least for now Cody's on the roads to WrestleMania, as we'll hear now 1 million times over the next 60 days. But
yeah, that might be a long slot. Hey, look who it is. It is our good friend, Jose Sanchez.
What's up, Jose? What's up?
Well, if it isn't Don Fubar himself.
Yes.
So moving on for the men's Rumble match. What was next? The Mountain Dew
Pitch Black
match between Bray Wyatt and L.A. Knight.
Yes.
Did I spell it the right way? I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I was actually really excited for this match.
You were.
Going into it, because I didn't know what to expect. It was okay, right? I mean, immediately you're like, oh, okay, it's Cosmic Bowl night at WWE, right? Like, so it was better. It was better than the Red Lights match.
Yeah, with Rollins.
For Bray, against Seth Rollins, absolutely. And it had a couple of good spots. I know it's Bray's first real match back, so the match itself was a little shorter, right? They throw the toolbox in, they don't end up using it really. They were again, you know, if you bring something out, you have to use it, in my opinion, right? And so there were a couple of disappointments there, and you wonder why that didn't happen. And then, of course, there was all the yellow confetti everywhere for
Feel the glow.
Yeah, to look good. I mean, it looked good on camera, right? It was a good visual, but it didn't make any sense.
Did it? I don't know. I don't think it looked good for these guys. Like if it was Naomi,
right,
that fits in with her character.
Yeah.
I didn't like the match. I didn't like the black light stuff. I liked the post-match angle. I thought that was more interesting than the match itself.
Yes, obviously Uncle Howdy coming out doing a coffin drop off the top. And it looked like he missed LA Knight
He did
for the most part. But of course there's a lot of cushion there, and that's a good comment by Jose. That's LA Knight might have been the wrong opponent for this. Definitely Jeff Hardy with his makeup versus Bray and his makeup, that definitely would have been something interesting to see for sure. But yeah, interesting thing. Bray is, let's go Howdy. Let's go personalities up. Camera's back. Okay. It just it's interesting it's curious to see where it goes. I don't necessarily always know what's going on with Bray and like a lot of stuff, but I can't stop watching. And to me, he's probably the second most interesting thing going on in WWE right now. To me by far. So
that's fair. My problem with his gimmick is that he hasn't put anyone over. Everyone that he's had a feud with looks worse after. Yeah. LA Knight held his own on the mic. I thought that he did better than some of his other opponents. But like, where does he go from here? Does he just look stupid now, LA Knight, or is this feud done? Does he move on?
I think the feud is done. And I think that the next booking for LA Knight's going to be very important because LA Knight has so much talent. Like you mentioned, he's great on the microphone. He's great in the ring. You know, a lot of folks may realize that the last few years, he's been the WWE 2K model for a lot of the after it used to be Cesaro, if I remember correctly. And then Cesaro left for AEW, and now LA Knight's done it the last couple of years. He can do any move and every move, and he's a phenomenal technical wrestler. It's going to be really interesting to see what they book him in next, right? Like, honestly, I would love to see maybe LA Knight insert himself into the Intercontinental title picture, maybe, right? Like, I could see him going that route, right? Going for, I don't want to say like an undercard belt, right? Like, but I think that, again, it's going to be interesting to see what the booking is, but this feud needs to be done 100%. Like, I'm over it. Move on. Give me more. Finally, show me Bo Dallas as Uncle Howdy, and let's see where we go from here.
And Jose says Bray's run is a lot like a great movie trailer for an okay movie. That's a fantastic analogy,
Absolutely,
my friend. You're a very wise man, Jose.
Yeah, it's very smart. Very smart. So, good
So,
comment.
I am done talking about the pitch black match. I can't do it anymore now. As you said, Bianca Belair versus Alexa Bliss seemed more like a TV match, and could not agree more with you. That, to be fair, though, sometimes their times cut short because the Rumble matches almost always go over
an hour. I mean, the pay-per-view as a whole, I think, was over 5 hours. Like,
was it that long?
Well, maybe they are on air for over 5 hours if you count
right.
So the show itself was 4:15. So it was a long night if you were watching all of WWE programming. Not to mention they had a post press conference.
Yeah. Those are weird, by the way.
Yeah, I caught snippets of it. I caught a couple of the parts of Bray, and I've seen highlights of Cody drinking the pitch black Mountain Dew, which good on him with the product placement. So, but yeah, I didn't watch a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, for Bianca and Alexa, obviously that feud looks like it's over too, probably, as now they're setting up the women's elimination chamber. The winner will face Bianca at Mania.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm curious to see what Alexa does. The most interesting thing, again, much like the pitch black match, was the post match.
Absolutely.
What's going on with Bray, and how is Alexa being pulled into this deranged family again? You know, like that to me is far more interesting. The match itself was fine, but it was the low point, partially because of where it fell in the show, right? But also partially just because you have a pay-per-view or a premium live event with 5 matches, and this was for one of the women's titles, and it was just booked right in the middle. So it's going to be that natural peaks and valleys, right? Natural, and that's the deepest valley is the middle of a card like that. So
now, I'm a big Bianca Belair fan, and when we chatted last year, you are not as much of. Is she growing on you at all?
Not really. Like, I mean, here's again, like, I look at the women's division, especially on Raw, and I don't hate her. I am so much more over for Alexa and Bayley and Becky and like, you know what I mean? Like, and to me, she still hasn't. She's a wrestler who needs the title to be relevant, right? Whereas Becky and Bayley and Alexa at this point they're those wrestlers who have gone beyond the need to have a title to be relevant, and that's the thing with Bianca to me, is that she's fine, but without the title, she's whatever. She's one of these people who needs to be chasing a title or have the title.
Carlos says, I feel like she needs a change, maybe a heel turn. Yeah, I think her problem is absolutely in the ring. She's fantastic.
Yeah.
She is, to me, one of the most physically gifted talents, man or woman, in all of WWE.
Yep.
Personality-wise, she needs work. If you contrast that with Rhea, who is were they called up around the same time? I think similar time frame.
I think Rhea might have been first, but definitely they're very close to each other for sure.
Rhea's done a lot more personality-wise, character-wise, and on the mic. So just contrasting them, both immensely talented physically, great in the ring. Yes. They look great.
Yep.
Character-wise, Rhea is just way
absolutely.
ahead of Bianca.
Rhea's mic skills are 100% farther along at this point on the main roster than Bianca. And Jose mentions that Bianca in NXT, her cocky character was better than what she is now. And again, that's goes to Jose's point that maybe she needs a heel turn to really become to get folks like me completely over on her. Because like to me, Rhea's promo last night on Raw, when she declared she's going to take on Charlotte at Mania to make up for their match a couple of years ago where they were in front of nobody because of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I can't wait. It was an amazing promo. I am all for it. I can't wait to see the two of them just jaw-jacking at each other now for the next 60 days. This is going to be phenomenal. And I am super pumped for that match. Like 100% on board. And again, Rhea showed last night that she is light years ahead on the microphone than some of her counterparts, to go along with being this amazing physical wrestler in the ring. Like, just phenomenally technically sound. And she showed that as well in the women's match of the Rumble.
Speaking of which, perfect transition, my friend.
There you go. I toss it up for you, buddy.
I thought the women's Rumble was top to bottom more entertaining than the men's. Not that the men's was bad. I enjoyed a lot of aspects of it, but in terms of the ring work, the surprises, the commentary, which I want to get to a little bit later, I just thought it was a much better match from bell to bell. How did you feel?
Absolutely. If the men's match was a B, the women's match was an A, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a full letter grade above it. I mean, and again, like you said, the men's match was fine, right? It wasn't bad. It was good. The women's match was great. You know, from Michelle McCool jumping out of the stands, to obviously Rhea going wire to wire, to Nia Jax coming out, and 11 women, shades of Andre, shades of Big Show, and every other giant, having to be 11 people to toss her out of the ring. Like, there were just really great moments the whole way through. And then to end with Rhea and Liv, the two of them together in the end, both of them going really wire to wire. First, and to me, talk about somebody who's grown leaps and bounds over the last couple of years. Liv Morgan has gone from like to like Liv's wrestling, okay, bathroom break, to like you can't not watch her. She does a phenomenal job. She is a good old Jersey girl, and she has grown so much in so many ways, and good on her. It was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. And then again, the finish. You have the three final women on the ring apron. Asuka does the misses Rhea. You're on the edge of your seat the whole match. It was an hour and 5-minute match, and you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. It was that good. It was one of the best Rumbles I've seen, top to bottom, I think.
Now, in comparison, where in the men's Rumble, I thought it was really obvious that Cody was going to win. Yeah. I thought Rhea was going to win this match, but I thought there was a chance that someone else can do it. I thought there was a smaller chance that Asuka could go for it. Really outside chance for Shayna Baszler. What did you think of the odds?
So I predicted Rhea as well beforehand. My picks were Rhea and Cody going into the match. But I definitely think I also started to doubt too when Rhea starts the match selling the spear she got from Beth Phoenix earlier. And then I immediately went, I wonder if that's going to cost Rhea later on and somebody else is going to go over. Right. As Jose says, it's going to be WrestleMania. Of course, all on board for it, my friend, all on board. But yeah, it's, I was thinking, somebody else might go over at different points, especially Damage Control was wreaking havoc. Like there was a part of me like, maybe Bayley will go over from this, right? Like you know, Becky, there was so many different angles they could do with the women. Whereas with the men, it was like, it's going to be Cody. Yeah.
There was no doubt ever.
There was never any doubt. Whereas like you said, Rhea was odds on favorite, but there were moments where you're like, maybe she's not going to be the choice tonight. Like, and that's when the Rumble's at its best, where you can't predict it. Right.
So. Now, how did you feel about the Nia surprise? I was really surprised at that. I think everyone, as we were tweeting, we were following each other's tweets during the card. Everyone was surprised, but a lot of people were not surprised in a good way. Like she has a lot of heat with internet marks. So
yeah, I mean, I was all for it. Like I thought it was fun. You know what I mean? I did not have like an issue with. I know. Here's the thing. Depending on how, I don't know if she's back now full time or if she's just back for this or what the deal was. Like she obviously she's not been great in the ring. She's hurt several people over the years. Like. You know what I mean? Like, and there's definitely that aspect of it. But like my immediate thought was, isn't she Roman's cousin? The Rock's cousin?
Yeah.
Is she part of?
Yeah, she's
so I'm like, what if finally she's the woman part of the bloodline? What if she finally gets
no.
Well, I mean, because here's the thing. Naomi ain't coming back. Like I don't think she ever could. I don't think when she's coming back, the bloodline will be dried up and gone by the time Naomi comes back, right? So I think that I was wondering if that. And I would be curious, right? Like I mean, I don't have as much hate for Nia as a lot of other folks out there do, but I mean, I was also very glad to see that she got tossed over as quickly as she did. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see again if this was a one-off. Great. If it's a short storyline where maybe she joins the bloodline, I could see that. I could garner some chuckles. But I don't think I don't think a long run with Nia, unless she's really fixed that injury problem, is a good thing.
I don't think she magically became a good wrestler
right. I don't think she's been training hard in the Nightmare Factory or whatever with Cody or whatever to suddenly become a good wrestler. So, but it was fun. I thought it was fun. I was like, okay,
It was a much bigger surprise than Booker T for me.
100%.
Now there's a moment. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Tamina and Raquel Rodriguez. They had a standoff, and someone on commentary said, "This is the matchup we've all been waiting for." I'm like, "We have? Like, who the fuck's been waiting for this?" Like,
yeah. Look, I mean, I like Tamina, but like, I mean, look, Jose says it could have been worse. It could have been Ava Maria. That would have been worse. Absolutely, buddy. Absolutely. Here's the thing. Tamina, I thought was there to be like. To do she didn't even do it. I'm like, it's like, all right, Superfly splash and then get thrown off the top rope. Like that's what she's there for, right? Like I don't know. It felt like at times that commentary was reaching to try to sell certain things, and I mean that happens, you know. But by the way, I got to go back to the men's match because I feel there's one thing that we didn't talk about. That
there's a big thing we did not talk about. Yeah,
absolutely. Speaking of people jumping off the top rope. As much as I hate Logan Paul, the Ricochet Logan Paul double springboard off the top rope crossbody collision in the center of the ring towards the end of that match. I will say this about Logan Paul. He is good for once a match. He did it with the phone against Roman over, you know what I mean? Like, he did it. It was in Saudi Arabia, right? He did it. And then there was, and obviously again against Ricochet there. He has that one OMG moment that there's probably making a programmer at 2K pull his hair out now as they're trying to figure out how they're going to program this into the next year's game, because that was one of the great, even though the match itself was a B, that was an A+ OMG moment. 100%.
Looked amazing.
Oh my God.
Looked amazing. Yeah. And I say what you will about him. The boy works hard. He puts in the work. Him and Bad Bunny have been like the two best celebrity wrestlers ever. Yeah. And I mean, I guess does Logan still count? He's under a contract, so he.
I was gonna say at this point he's a wrestler. Like he's not a celebrity wrestler anymore. He's a wrestler. Although supposedly, if Bad Bunny ever stops touring, they're gonna try and bring him in too.
Like, knock it off with that music shit. Yeah. Get back in the ring.
Yeah. I'm sorry, you're touring how often? We tour 300 days a year. We don't care about your little music schedule. There's a little band. Tell them to go chill. You got the Canadian Destroyers to do. Let's go. Yeah. But yeah, no, no, Logan Paul, again, everybody hates him because of his internet personality, and obviously, like, he has so much natural heat against him. Like in the old school territory days, like he would have been a gold mine. Right. But I
love his heel work. Like I love that he wore that Pokemon card.
The Charizard card, yeah.
So good. Like, and it's an insidery thing, like if you know about him and know his character. But I mean, look, he's a good-looking guy, he's famous, he's really athletic, like way more than I thought he'd be. And I think I enjoy watching him work. I think he's good.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's true. Here's the thing. Just don't ever try to make him like a face. He has to be a heel.
He's a dick.
Yeah, he has to be a heel his whole career, and that's it.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Like, So, but yeah, anyway, back to the women's match. I remember that. I'm like, we got to talk about this.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's a big omission. I take the blame for that. That's my fault.
It's all good. We made up for it. We made up for it. We came back to it.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's fluid. But yeah, the women's match was very, very good overall. I also want to mention, just because if anybody knows me knows I am the biggest Sergeant Slaughter fan. Here's the thing. Lacey Evans as a heel soldier doing the Cobra Clutch, I can 100% see it. Right? I'm okay with it. I just hope that since this is the 8th shtick she's had in like 4 years, I hope this sticks finally. And I hope that, like, again, I think she's better as a heel. I think she should just stay with this. Better. Yeah, absolutely. Like, the whole face push they tried to do with her was not working. And also, I would love if at some point Sergeant Slaughter comes back and, I don't know, like, gives her pointers or something like that. Or even, like, want to be really heel? Like, he tries to give her a pointer and she just, like, smacks him or something. Like, that's the kind of stuff we need, like, more of. And I think that would be a great way to get her further along. And, you know, she's nowhere near a title picture yet, but definitely to rebuild her as this. Just don't make her a G.I. Joe. Whatever you do, just don't make her a G.I. Joe. But,
Lacey versus Slaughter at me. How old is Sarge now? He's got to be in his 70s or something.
He's got to be in his 70s. I'm gonna look that up because now I'm curious. But yeah, I could just Eddie's disease. I'm gonna send you home in a ditty bag, itty bitty ditty bag.
I mean, her character work. She's gotten so many chances, so many gimmicks. What's the most interesting thing she's done character wise? Like Bone Ric Flair as a character.
I was just about to say that. Like that was the most. That's the thing that stands out the most, right? By the way, Sergeant Slaughter's 74. Yeah. So we all feel old now.
Yeah, maybe not take the bumps. Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, I can definitely yeah, that was it. Her and Ric Flair. That's the thing that sticks out the most in my mind.
Yeah.
About her. And like, look, she's fine. She's good in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, her mic skills need work, but again, like this heel soldier character, it's something that's worked before. It can work again.
But I like what she did when she would use the Cobra Clutch, take someone out, and then salute. I think that was funny. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I'm fine with it though. Like, yeah, exactly. It works. Like it's
simple.
Exactly. Sometimes keep it simple, stupid. Like sometimes that's all you need. The more complex, like weird romances, all that stuff. You don't need it. No, just slap a Cobra Clutch on somebody, choke him out, toss him over the top rope, and just have a scowl on your face the whole time. That's it.
Now I want to talk about. I think this had more variety in terms of talent. You had a lot of NXT people.
Yes, a lot more NXT talent in the women's match. Absolutely.
You had Chelsea Green, who was eliminated quickly, although I believe that's going to be part of her character, if I'm not mistaken. She's going to be like a wrestling Karen, if the dirt sheets are to be believed. Yeah. So
yeah, she set a record supposedly that the fastest woman eliminated in the women's rumble. Now Liv originally had that record for a while. I like that. Liv again. The show lives growth. She went from being the fastest woman eliminated ever to now going almost wire to wire with Rhea. So, but yeah, no, I think Chelsea is going to be that just annoying, loud, brash, in your face. And we'll see how far she goes with it. Because there's not gonna lie, there's a few women that they've kind of given that gimmick to. Especially now that Carmella's coming back. So
I'm good.
there's we'll see what happens. Speaking of Carmella, her former tag partner, by the way, in the women's match, Zelina Vega, coming out as jury.
Yeah.
I think that's the first time an individual wrestler has been sponsored in the Rumble. Like Zelina Vega, brought to you by Street Fighter 6.
I thought that was really cool. I don't know. I mean, there might be I don't know how large a percentage that won't know what the hell that was all about. the commentators sort of kind of helped, sort of kind of looked out of touch. Like,
yes, I was gonna. I immediately commented like, aside from at least Corey Graves, kind of like made a Blanca reference.
I thought that was funny. I
Yes,
like that.
right. But like Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, like really kind of showed their age there. And so yeah, they were kind of left hung out to dry. Like I feel like you guys knew she was going to be sponsored by Street Fighter. Like you probably should have given Cole and Pat like some.
You have
pointers.
a writing staff. Come
Yeah,
on,
like this is what you have writers for.
Yeah,
like somebody from sales and marketing should have been like, this is what you need to know. This is what it is. Like just to make them not look so bad. Because again, like you said, there's maybe a smaller crossover between wrestling and gamers, right? At least Street Fighter gamers. But for those of us who were there,
yeah,
it was kind of disappointing for us. Yeah. I mean, Zelina was awesome. The commentary was disappointing. That's, yeah.
Speaking of Pat McAfee, let's go back again. That's another thing we forgot.
To the top of the show.
Yes, he kicked things off with a big surprise. Although that was rumored, and you know he has less work to do now that football is winding down.
Right now, the college football is done, and it's only the Super Bowl now at this point. So he's just doing his radio show, and he's back to WWE for the next probably until SummerSlam, and then he'll probably go back to college football and kind of do this rotation for a while.
Yeah. I missed him. He's so good.
He's phenomenal. He is absolutely terrific. I'm not gonna lie. I thought at first he was #1 in the Royal Rumble because I was like, wait a minute, what's Pat McAfee doing back here? Like, but it's great that he's back on the commentary table. I think him, Cole, and Graves. Which, by the way, we also need to sing Corey Graves' praises because Corey Graves has become one of the best color guys I'm going to say ever in wrestling. He has been phenomenal for a long time. And I'm also going to say on Raw, he is saving Kevin Patrick, who has been not good on Raw since taking over. Hopefully he'll grow into it. But Kevin Patrick, better as a backstage reporter than he is as a play-by-play guy, at least in the moment. And Corey Graves has been bailing him out a lot in the last couple of weeks on Raw.
Corey's kind of got that old school heel commentator thing going, and it's really effective.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about this now. I was going to bring it up later, but one of the things that I noticed throughout the show is that the commentators seemed like they were given a lot more freedom in terms of production. And a lot of times it worked. Sometimes it didn't. Sometimes it got awkward and fumbly. Like the Street Fighter stuff is a great example of that.
Right.
But they went on some tangents that Vince never would have allowed. And I thought it was tremendously entertaining. Like they spent like a good 3 minutes talking about Michelle McCool's Uggs. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, it was great.
And then when they were talking about like Tegan Knox, like what is the shiniest wizard? And then, then like, oh, yes, she has more time to shine her wizard now. I thought that was all hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and even Cole from SmackDown the previous night mentioning the continuity of Lacey Evans. She lost her soul. The soul of her boot came off in her squash match.
Yes,
and she tried to use it as a weapon. And Coleman, just the continuity of bringing something that was clearly literally a wardrobe malfunction the night before, and mentioning it to having this continuity of commentary from night to night, from show to show. I think it does them a lot of favors for those of us who try to watch as much as possible. And I definitely think that, I think since Triple H has taken over the creative, the whole show overall, it hasn't been perfect. There's been a misstep here or there, but for the most part, it's gone to a whole new level, and WWE has been the best and most watchable it's been in a while.
And again, I want to give Pat McAfee props. His vibe is just so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think he makes Cole the best version of Cole possible. Like Cole looks like he's having more fun, and his commentary is just better.
Cole's even gone on record saying that Pat has given his career a shot in the arm.
I did not know that. But
I think Cole has said that, I think on record in previous interviews, saying about how important Pat McAfee has been to the SmackDown broadcast. When he first came on, and important to him. I feel like they are legitimately, like, you can feel that they are legitimately friends, like on air. And it's just a great thing. It's a great vibe.
Yeah. To me, I haven't felt a vibe like that. I mean, since maybe the King and JR. And even before that, like Heenan and Monsoon,
Yeah.
they just click and they work together perfectly. And
Yeah.
I like Cole and McAfee together a lot.
Yes,
Um,
absolutely.
I like when Cole and McAfee are together and Bailey is berating Cole. I think that's
Oh,
hilarious.
it's amazing. It's phenomenal. It is phenomenal. I'm just
You-
curious now, is that now that McAfee's
Marseille.
Marseille.
Are those even the right accents? I don't know. Like,
All I know
believe
is
it.
I'm curious to see. Again, if you watched Raw last night, I'm curious to see what Mansoor and Marseille and Maxi have in store for Otis. That was a fun. That was a fun. There was a lot on last night's Monday Night Raw. One of the most jam-packed Monday Night Raws in a while. And that's a tease that I am looking forward to because Otis is one of my favorite wrestlers and characters.
Yeah.
And doesn't get it. And I feel like sometimes he gets his personality gets a little lost in the Alpha Academy gimmick.
Yeah, I think Otis's unique qualities work better as a face.
Yeah.
Although he's been great with Gable, but I think as an individual, what he brings to the table, he's like a goofy, lovable, freakishly strong face. I loved what he did with Mandy.
Yes.
Yes. Jose says probably not, but they're going to turn Otis into. Yeah, let's see. I mean, I had high hopes for Mansoor going to this gimmick as a model in terms of my other idea for him was to make him like Spider-Man and put a hyphen in there where he's half man, half sewer. He was bitten by a radioactive sewer.
Oh, could you imagine the commentary? What the hell's a sewer? Just go with it. Just go with it. Oh man. Yeah, now, no, I'm curious to see where they go with it. Yeah.
Before we get into the main event, let's talk about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for a second. To me, since WrestleMania last year, these guys have been the best that WWE has to offer. And the work they did at WrestleMania had no right to be as good as it was.
Yeah.
And they've just kept it up. More, Sami has the hottest angle, of course.
Yeah.
And KO had a little bit of an injury problem, but their work has been strong, so strong since WrestleMania. And I'm glad that they were both in the main event. Sami is on the outside, of course, but the main event for the undisputed championship was the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns against Kevin Owens. Now, going into the match, what did you think? The Bloodline, it was time to bring it down, burn it down?
I wouldn't say it had to be done at this point. Like, they could have kept milking this, but I'm perfectly fine that this is when they decided this is when to pull the plug. Because again, whenever they decided to pull the plug, there's so many options, right? And again, and literally before our eyes, it feels like the whole bloodline crumbled, right? Because Jimmy and Jay went separate ways out of this, right? Obviously, Sami has now been excommunicated, right? We still don't know we don't know necessarily if KO is going to go back in his corner. There's a chance that Sami is now on an island, right? Because, for months that, he made KO's life a hell as well, Sami, right? He low-blowed him at Survivor Series and he set him up for the splash. Like, there's a chance that Sami's completely on his own. I'm really curious to see. Well, I'll say one thing that Raw cleared up was it felt like they are going to keep the titles together. The WWE title and the Universal title, at least until they pass it off to Cody. I was hoping after Rumble and Island of Irrelevancy, nice, Jose, nice. I was hoping that this would be the beginning, not only of the end of the bloodline, but that they're going to resplit the titles. Because if you're going to have two titles, you need two champions, I feel. Otherwise, please they don't need to be props. Just make it one title. Just make it one belt, right? And so my hope was going to be that somehow Cody would become WWE champion and that either Sami or KO would become Universal champion, right? Now, whether that's Roman having to defend both nights at Mania, Roman having to defend one at Elimination Chamber, and then the other at Mania, and then, his complete fall from grace, right? But it feels like they're not going to do that now. It feels like they're going to give both of the titles to Cody at Mania.
Yeah. And I think there's a reason for that is not to do with angles or anything. Now, they wanted to split up the belts before, from what I understand, because they wanted a belt on each network.
Right. USA has been very vocal about they want a main title back on Raw.
But now that the company is for sale, that those plans are kind of on hold,
right,
until they figure that out. Now, Jose had a lengthy comment here. Let's check it out.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I was hoping they'd go with Sami having to step in last Monday and Raw and win the tag team with Jay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
that would be or that'd be at least included via the Freebird rule, right? Then now suddenly, well, the New Day did that for a while, obviously, right? And that's now officially Sami is a tag champion via the Freebird rule, right? I thought they might try to invoke that, Jose. To your point, that's a good point. Because it's going to be curious to see now. At the very least, it feels like they're going to split up the tag championships.
Right.
With Jay going one way and Jimmy going the other, it feels like that not only are they going to split up the tag championships, but that these guys are going to probably drop them sooner rather than later. Maybe, I don't know, as soon as Elimination Chamber even, right? Do you put one? And there's a lot of options. You can put one on the Street Profits on Raw, and you can put the other on Imperium, or the Brawling Brutes on SmackDown, or the Viking Raiders, whoever wins the tournament. They got this number one contender tournament. Like, there's a lot more tag team options, by the way, on SmackDown, I feel like, than on Raw. I mean, you do have Alpha Academy, but I feel like they've had their time in the sun as tag champs. I feel like that if anybody is going to take them, it'd be the Street Profits. They're maybe even Braun and Ricochet on SmackDown.
Yeah.
I'm less enthused about that, but that might be the way they're going. But it feels like, and again, Jose's point, the rumor was it was going to be KO and Sami versus the Usos. But here's the thing. I'm curious now. The thing that throws me for a loop was the fact that Jay left Jimmy and the bloodline in the. Now, that could be cleared up this Friday on SmackDown, maybe. Maybe Jay comes back and repledges himself, and maybe, he has to beat Sami or something, and then KO comes out and helps him, and maybe they reset that up. But I just feel the way that the Rumble ended kind of threw a wrench into that rumor that it would just be straight up KO and Sami versus the Usos.
Right. And that's perfect, because now people want to tune in, and a lot of it makes sense, because in 2000 Roman terrorized Jay, and beat him down until he acknowledged him. I thought Jay saving Sami from Solo, from the spike. Fantastic moment. And I love that bond they have, where it took him a long time to earn Jay's trust and respect, and he's not letting it go just like that. So,
right. Now Jay's his biggest advocate, right? Like, I mean, the fact, to the point where when Jay wanted somebody to go help Solo, on SmackDown the night before the Rumble, he called Sami, who came down in a hoodie and helped out. Like, I mean, that's the thing. It's really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens going forward. But the Bloodline is the best story in wrestling, period.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, Sami's doing the heavy lifting there, but this is the best character work I've seen Jay do just in the last week. Jimmy's been fantastic. Solo's new to the main roster, but he's coming a long way.
He's coming a long way, and he works as that enforcer type, right? That number one kind of thug for the head honcho of the mob, right? Like, he's the enforcer, and he fits with that, and he'll get his shots, right? He'll get his chances at the, I think he was the North American champion in NXT, and he had to drop that when he got called up to the main roster, like, kind of unceremoniously, but like, he'll get his shots at the US title, I think, at some point, the IC title and all that. Like, but right now he's a good cog in this. And obviously paying tribute to Umaga all the time with the spike and everything. And I think it's
Umanga.
I think it's a good story. The story has so many layers to it, and that's why it's so good. And you're just I haven't been this emotionally invested in wrestling. Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, probably since Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels, probably for the streak, and then maybe before that, even Mick Foley and Austin in the Attitude Era, right? Mick Foley getting his first championship title, obviously that turned the Monday Night Wars infamously, and obviously Stone Cold's my favorite wrestler of all time. So Like, I mean, to me, this is a top 3 storyline in my life. Probably.
Yeah,
for
I can see
wrestling.
that. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, so.
And you know, I read a rumor that was originally supposed to be a 3-week program, but
Wow.
Sami put it over so much that they just kept rolling with it. So
I mean, and the thing is, and all the merch that they've sold with it and all the other stuff, and like, let's see, Sami and KO. Well, oh, Jose, I don't even know if we should read it.
I love it.
The Wild Sami Owens, Sam Owens, as in the Wild Samoan Sami Owens. I love it's fantastic. It's
I think
amazing.
they should do SA''Owens.
Yeah, Owens.
Yeah.
That's the Wild Owens. That's how you have to do it. That's how you have to do it, right, Raymond? Absolutely. That is the way you gotta say it. It rolls off the Wild Owens. The Wild Owens. That rolls off the tongue a lot better. So, absolutely, that's a great idea.
Now we've been talking about the storylines and the characters, but what did you think of the match itself? It was pretty physical, especially towards the end.
Yeah, I mean it had a lot of good spots, right? Like, I mean, even though we've seen it before, but Roman spearing KO through the barricade, and like, you know, we've seen it's not necessarily anything. Well, I will say I went ooh when he slammed KO's head into the stairs the first time. And then, by the way, yeah, it looked real bad. Like, I thought he legit like missed this, like he mistook that bump. And like, yeah. And then you had the dude in the front row screaming, "Slam him into the stairs again!" And then Roman being like, "Again, okay," and he did it. And he did it a second time. Like, it felt like a very spontaneous moment, but you're also just like, well, if he's doing it again, then I hope that KO's got to be okay, right? Like, it looked worse than I think it looked bad, and that happens a lot in wrestling where things look worse than they are. But then, of course, the match is over, and then very, very physical. It was probably a B+ in my opinion. The match, because again, we've seen some of that stuff before.
Yeah.
But and again, similar to some of the other matches tonight, the most interesting thing
post-match
is the post-match, right? That's what everybody was waiting for. Would, and again, they're selling it the whole time. Sami, the hesitancy to give Roman the chair, the hesitancy to, he again, technically he did move on from KO. He was part of the bloodline, but it was just too much for him. And Sami's humanity came through, and he took a chair. He took the chair shot against Roman. And that moment, that's electrifying. You get chill. That's a moment you get chills. You get goosebumps.
And I love that they added on it when Jay would not participate in the beatdown.
Yeah,
I mean, that's great stuff.
Yeah.
Now, are you ready? Are you ready for another golden comment?
Sure.
You're gonna love this. I'll let you take this one.
In this Owen Dynasty, Samoa Joe and KO and Sami should team up with a shock returning Samoa Joe and KO and become the new Sami Owen Dynasty. Oh my goodness. That would be an amazing faction. That would be amazing. But we all know that's not going to happen. I think Joe is pretty much locked in over at AEW/Ring of Honor. But yeah, that would be phenomenal. I mean, then Samoa Joe, KO, and Sami versus the Bloodline. I'd love to see it. Absolutely. It's not going to happen, but I'd love to see it.
You want heat? Betray Roman by hitting him in the back with a chair. Sure.
Yeah.
Joe versus Solo is the match. Yeah. There's another one of their family that Jim Cornette's really high on. He wrestles in NWA.
Oh yeah, I know he's like 6'9" or something, right? He's really big.
I don't know if he's that tall.
Isn't there like a kind of not quite a giant, but like he was in New Japan for a while? He's part of Bullet Club.
Oh no, that's a different guy.
Okay.
This guy is not as experienced. I almost want to say that he's Umaga's son, but I'm not positive. But let us go to the internet And
Also, when are we going to get Rikishi to come? Is Rikishi going to come back and broker peace between the Usos and Roman and everybody? That's what I'm waiting for.
Oh, man. Samoan Werewolf is an APW guy. Let's see. This is bugging me. I'm going to have to go to the internet and look it up.
Okay. All right. I'll vamp for time as you research this. But yeah, I mean, like, this is the thing I was going to say. Like, also, by the way, all the rumors of The Rock at WrestleMania have been squashed completely. There's not going to be a Rock versus Roman match. Mostly, and I think Triple H, I mean, not to say they can't swerve us at some point, but it just sounds like The Rock is just too busy with the XFL relaunching in 2 weeks and all this other stuff going on, and him destroying the DC universe to the point where James Gunn has to come save it. I didn't see Black Adam, but I don't want to see Black Adam either. I heard a lot of bad things. So, I'm not going to waste my time with it, especially now because the movie doesn't matter because James Gunn is going to save us all.
Yeah, there is a hard reset.
Yeah, it's coming after Flashpoint. Hard reset after Flashpoint, it sounds like. So,
is it Lance Anoa'i that is in NWA?
I'm not sure. I admit I haven't watched. I do not watch a lot of NWA. There's a lot of wrestling on every week now between AEW, Impact, which has been great since Bully Ray's comeback. Obviously WWE with 5 hours of programming a week, not including NXT. There's a lot of wrestling to watch. You can watch. You can watch wrestling every night of the week.
This is true.
I got too many video games to play. Fire Emblem. I'm 40 hours into Fire Emblem. There's too much going on.
Jacob Fatu, although Lance is also wrestles in MLW with him. So Jacob Fatu, I think he looks even more of an enforcer.
Okay.
Than Solo.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be cool if they bring him in. Jose says Rock versus Roman at 40. Sure.
Maybe that's coming further down the line. Absolutely. It's not going to happen here in Hollywood. It's not going to happen here.
And it would have been really appropriate too. That's a shame, but I get it. Dude's a busy man.
Absolutely.
Has a crazy schedule.
And it ain't easy to get into ring shape. So, I mean, that's the thing. Dude hasn't wrestled now in several years again.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, even though he looks jacked, I mean, taking bumps.
Yeah, exactly. Taking bumps is very different from filming films, right? Like,
don't know where his cardio is at. So,
right.
that takes time.
Yeah.
Now, how did this show set up the rest of the year for you? What trends did you like that Royal Rumble set up for the rest of the year?
Well, I mean, from the women's side, obviously we know there's still the Elimination Chamber is going to determine a lot for the Raw brand. Obviously, I think Rhea versus Charlotte. First off, it's interesting because it means that is Rhea going to leave Judgment Day to go to SmackDown should she win the title, right? Because Charlotte has the SmackDown belt, or is Judgment Day going to make a full brand switch, right? Because typically Judgment Day has just been the Raw brand.
Right.
Or are they all going to go to SmackDown because then you can do Dom versus Ray, right? Obviously, they started to set that up. The fact that Ray was taken out backstage by Dom, he took his mask, he went down to the ring. It feels like they're starting to set that up for Mania. So you could see Judgment Day at some point switch brands, especially if Rhea beats Charlotte. I think if Rhea beats Charlotte and Dom beats Ray, I think you're going to see them. You're going to see that
SmackDown.
They're going to go to SmackDown. Especially since right after WrestleMania, that's typically when you have those brand switch anyway. I don't know if they're going to do the official full-on draft again, but I think that's when that's what that is setting up. On the men's side, obviously, I think you're seeing the destruction of the bloodline. I think Cody's going to win at Mania. My hope is that if Sami and KO are going to be relegated to the tag division, that Gunther, like I said earlier, gets that main event push.
That'd be amazing.
And that we have Gunther versus Cody at SummerSlam. And I think that just we got a hint of that the last 10 minutes of the Rumble, I would love to see them do like a 30-minute, some kind of a 30-minute match, or 2 out of 3 falls, or something. Actually, a 2 out of 3 falls match between Cody and Gunther at SummerSlam. That's what I want to see. I think that would be phenomenal. And I hope that they're kind of building to something like that, some kind of fun stipulation.
Jose says, would love Gorillas of Destiny to show up. Haku's kids versus Rikishi's kids. Yeah. And all those guys can work, but I don't know. I think they should set up a big faction where, in my mind, they should have all these giant brown wrestlers terrorize the white wrestlers. Do you remember when there was all race wars in the Attitude Era, where you had the Mexicools and
the Nation of Domination? Yeah, man, that was a big thing back then. So
let's bring it back.
Yeah,
let's bring it back. On a side note, Dominic Mysterio as the hardened prison character. So funny.
Yeah, it's just pure comedy. It's just pure comedy. He still needs to work on his mic skills. Yeah. Like last night with the Judgment Day versus Cody on the mic, it just felt awkward, right? But there's so much potential there, and I think in a weird way, Dom and the Ray storyline has gotten Judgment Day so much heat to make them a legitimate faction. Because it felt like they stopping. Edge was leading it, then he wasn't leading it, and then you had that whole storyline, and that's been like there's just a lot of starting and stopping with that faction. And once Dom really kind of started to get some heat on him, that's when they as a group found their footing. So I'm curious to see where they go with that.
Comments like that will get you shanked to the yard.
Well, I'm sorry, Jose. I don't want that, man. I don't want to get shanked. Absolutely.
We were talking about Graves earlier, but I think he does a great job of playing up that bit of Dom's character.
Absolutely.
And it just makes it so funny.
It's a good angle. It's a lot of fun. And obviously though, like again, that storyline it's him versus Ray kicking off night 1 of WrestleMania or something, maybe it's more in the middle or something, but like it'll be a fun rivalry match, and maybe, who knows, maybe it is kind of maybe they're leading up to a career match for Ray, because he's starting to get up there too. So
speaking of getting up there, we were talking about Kofi's spot that looked really painful and very botched. Should he be doing that in his 40s? Should he save that for the younger guys now? Because he's done so many cool and inventive things in Rumble matches. Does he need to be doing that anymore?
He doesn't need to. I think here's the sad thing is I think people still expect it, but I think that I don't think it's not necessary for him, right?
Yeah.
Like we have so many great memories. He's had his title run, right? Obviously, so many tag team championships. Him too. Isn't Kofi, I think, like a U.S. title reign away from a career Grand Slam? Or you might be right. Like, maybe have him put somebody like Austin Theory like in a rivalry with him and let him complete his career Grand Slam. And and Jose mentions Prison Dom wouldn't be without Graves overselling on absolutely. I mean, it definitely, again, like going back again, Dom still needs to work on his mic skills. Clearly, he's fine in the ring. You can see he's getting better match by match wrestling wise.
Yeah,
but he needs a lot more reps in the mic, because it felt like he was stepping on Finn last night a few times. He stepped on Cody a couple of times. Like he felt like it didn't feel natural. It felt like Dom was like, "This is the line I have to say, and I'm waiting for when I have to say it." Like it felt Dom's stuff feels very, very scripted, and he's not making it his own yet.
But I think he's getting there. Like he had that line, like, "Now I know how Martha Stewart feels." When he said that, was that 2 weeks ago or whatever?
Something like that, yeah.
Like that kind of stuff. The way he delivered it, I thought was really good. Like, I think he's getting there. Jose points out that Kofi did have the U.S. Champion, U.S. belt. We can call them belts again.
Yeah, I know. So does Kofi have a career Grand Slam after he won the WWE title? Did he have the IC title too at some point?
I want to say yes. So does he? Right,
I want to say that he had. I want to say he was IC champion, right? And obviously he's been a tag champion for many times.
Yes.
Yeah, 4-time yeah. So he has the career grand. Once he got the WWE Championship, that's a career Grand Slam. Yeah, he's 13th Grand Slam under the current format. So yeah, so Kofi's a Grand Slam champion. So yeah, he's got nothing left to prove to anybody, right? In my opinion, right? Like,
so knock that shit off, man. I don't want to see it. Oh, Jose, this is an important point. He did not win the 24/7.
Look, I am so happy. Like I know that Dana Brooke did all she could for that title, but I am so happy that Nikki Cross took it and just threw it in the trash, and that has been retired. And because here's the thing, once it wasn't the hardcore championship, nobody wanted. Nobody was on board. Nobody, at least not me, right? Like when we thought Mick Foley was going to reveal that, and we thought he was bringing back the hardcore championship, and it was that stupid green belt. I was like, I don't want it. I don't want to see this. This is just no.
I think Truth took that as far as it could be taken.
Right.
So
Truth,
Nozawa,
and yeah, they did all they could with it. Dana Brooke, they did all they could with it, but it just was. It was desperate filler for a 3-hour show that should still be back to 2 hours. Raw is still too long.
Yeah. So let me bring up some points that I liked. I like that they pushed younger talent more than I thought they would.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get a lot of Brock or Lashley, which I thought they would have way more time in their match.
Yeah.
I was happy that they didn't, because those guys are established. They don't need the push for the Royal Rumble. You know, as we said a bunch of times, Gunther did really well. Austin Theory did really well.
Yeah.
So they pushed a lot of younger guys in the women's match. I think Bayley in this match, but also in general, she's been doing a great job of helping Io and Dakota get over. Like, absolutely. I loved when they would eliminate people and all three of them would just laugh at them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great character work there.
Yeah. Damage Control is, I mean, I can't remember the last women's faction.
Yeah.
That was
I still don't like the name.
No, the name could have used some more R&D, but it's still them as a faction are great together. I love that Dakota and Io are the women's tag champions that immediately brought that title. You know, the little rivalry back and forth there, but that title has some relevance because of them. And yet, to your point, you know, I'm glad Botch Lesnar wasn't in the match too long. And he dropped Santos right on his head as he eliminated him. Like, it just, yeah, like, yeah, the push of the younger guys is necessary and fantastic.
We did not talk about musical guest Hardy. You know what?
The best part of that was Pat McAfee singing along to the song. That the fact that the producer forgot to cut his mic and then just let him keep going.
I mean, it was so bad that after a while I just felt bad for him. Like, I'm sure he's talented and I'm sure he can do a lot better. He just did not on Sunday or Saturday. Was it Saturday? Yeah.
Saturday. Yeah. Saturday.
He was just garbage on Saturday. I don't know what the problem was. Like, was the producer, the sound levels, were they just bad? Like, his voice just sounded not great.
No. Well, and that you wonder, and that's the thing is I don't know, honestly. When they said Hardy was the musical guest, I was like, wait, Jeff can play the guitar? What's going on? Like, what's going on? Like, I had no idea who he was, and it's like you ask the question, it's like, well, how much, like a lot of musicians nowadays, how much EQ does his album stuff have, right? Like, how much is this guy who
let's auto-tune him?
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I like not to take shots at the guy. Again, I don't know his music. I don't listen to him. It's not my vibe. But no, that was one of the musical performances on live events are always hit or miss anyway, but that was a big old miss, even with Pat McAfee trying to help.
Yeah. I mean, were there any that you liked? I enjoyed when Joan Jett played Rhonda to the ring, just because I love Joan Jett and I love that song.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like when it's musicians playing wrestlers to the ring,
that's cool.
I'm all for that.
Lemmy and Triple.
Yes, absolutely, awesome. Exactly, right? Like those are some that like stand out when they're just there doing a song and like it just brings the show to a crawl. Like Machine Gun Kelly or whatever. Like I'm just like. I don't
Yeah.
need, I don't want this. This isn't what I want in my wrestling show. Like, no, like this is I can't. What's the worst thing that goes with peanut butter? Like, like
Tabasco sauce.
sardines. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
peanut butter and sardines. Like, what the heck is this going on here? Like,
That sounds like a sandwich Shaggy and Scooby-Doo made and enjoyed. I don't
right?
know.
Yeah, like, and they're the only ones. Like, nobody else wants this.
Ooh, Kid Rock and we should have a musician battle royal. Then Bad Bunny can dominate them all.
Yeah, Bad Bunny, throwing everybody over the top rope. Absolutely. Yeah, Kid Rock and Fred Durst coming out and setting up a triple threat at Mania against Hardy.
I never heard of Hardy before this, so I don't want to judge him. Not my kind of music that I like to listen to, but it was bad, and I feel bad for. I hope, I feel sad. It's like,
it also makes me feel old because I feel like WWE is desperately trying to introduce me to like the music that kids listen to nowadays, and I'm just like, no, bad, no.
I mean, I thought it was cool when they had Poppy on NXT doing EO's entrance music. I thought that was cool, but
Hardy, no, I mean, again, there are definitely times where it works, and again, I think playing a wrestler with their music down to the ring works.
That's cool. Yeah.
Infinitely better than a standalone mini concert in the middle of a pay-per-view. Or to me, again, I keep calling pay-per-views premium live event.
Right. Was there anyone that you wanted to see in the Rumble that did not? People were thinking that maybe Sami would win the men's Rumble and have a match with Roman.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, Rey Mysterio did not make it. He actually got injured last week, but they wrote it into the show.
Right.
So they could have given that spot to someone else, but instead they furthered that angle with his son. So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that was the thing with Rey. I was curious. I really thought it was weird that they had him and his rivalry line with Karrion Kross come to a head the night before the Rumble instead of having them fight in the Rumble. I don't know. I get you got to fill a show, you got to book it somehow. But again, it feels like sometimes they've put together multiple storylines and then they realize, oh no, we need to start tying these off because we want this to be the main storyline for this guy. And now hopefully Rey is back by Mania.
Jose mentioned Madcap was on the roster for the Rumble. No Madcap.
Yeah. Also, they brought back Boogs on Monday Night Raw. Why not have Boogs come in? He would have got a big pop, I think, if he had come in during the Rumble.
Yeah, his reintroduction I thought was not too good.
No,
with his air guitar and air drums and like where is Shinsuke injured? Where's he?
Yeah, I think Shinsuke's still hurt too. Obviously Boogs got hurt at last year's Mania. He tore his quad. But yeah, again, that's why I felt like it would have been bigger for him to come back at the Rumble.
Who's Braun? Wasn't he a Game of Thrones character? I know who you mean.
Braun Breaker. Yeah, I feel like they're happy with Braun still and giving him some more seasoning down in NXT, but I feel like he needs to get called up sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sold on him yet. Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's right. Shinsuke with Muda. That's right. Shinsuke with Muda. That's why. That's right. Absolutely. Sorry, Carlos. You're right. I forgot. We forgot. So sometimes it's hard. Sometimes there's just so much going on. It's hard to keep track.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it made sense to have Dominic play with the mask, and he couldn't tear it, which I thought was funny. He's like,
no.
Braun versus the ghost of Bad News Brown. Ooh. I like it.
That's a good one. Look at Jose with the fantasy book in here. So
I like it. I think all matches should have at least one dead wrestler.
Yeah. So going back to commentary real quick, what's going to happen to Wade Barrett now that Pat's back?
I hope he goes back to NXT because I do not like Booker on the mic.
No, I agree. I agree.
Bad.
I agree. I think that is like the best lineup when Wade is down in NXT and Booker is just relegated to pre-shows.
Yeah.
With Jerry Lawler. So yeah, it's just that was it's rough listening to Booker on NXT. But I mean, I like Wade. I like Wade as a heel commentator too.
It's going
Was
to
it?
be bad.
Gonna be, yeah, gonna be some. I got some bad news for you, Booker. Bad news. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. But yeah. So
I hope so. I mean, because McAfee and Cole, they have to be together.
that's your 1A. That's your top commentary team, right? Like, and again, especially, and again, as I mentioned earlier, Corey Graves is working overtime to cover for Kevin Patrick on Raw.
Oh,
like,
maybe you shift Wade to Raw. You think that works?
But then you have two heel guys. With Kevin,
yeah.
that's
maybe
I think
not.
Like, I mean, unless that's the issue is that, like, I think the problem with Raw is your play-by-play guy. I think Kevin Patrick hopefully gets up to speed sooner rather than later, because otherwise he's going to go the way of Saxton and go back to being a backroom reporter.
Right.
Which I will say this, as much as I like Byron Saxton, the 2-man commentary team is infinitely better than a 3-man commentary team. It just is. And it's one of the things I hate about AEW is then they're like, we have a 5-man commentary team. And I'm just like, no, there's too many people talking. There's too many people talking.
Jose likes the 3 ways.
Not in this sense, Jose. I disagree with you completely. I am not a fan of the 3-man commentary team.
Oh wait, Jose, that wasn't Jose. There's some guy that goes on Jose's Twitch streams all the time that he would have said that Joey's sister is the one that really likes the 3 ways, but he's not here, that guy or Joey or Joey's sister. So we'll skip that one.
Yeah.
So letter grade, where would you give? Let's kick things off. Let's close things up with that. What would you give the Royal Rumble 2023?
Ooh, that is hard. I am sitting at, I'm gonna say a B+. Right? Like the show started off solid. You had, like I said, you had your typical valley there in the middle, and then it finished very strong. The women's match and then the bloodline, both very, very strong. Jose agrees. He says B+ as well. Yeah, I think Carlos says B+ as well. Look at that. I'm a trendsetter. I think we're all in agreement. Like, at least the 3 of us are saying B+.
No, make up 4 B+.
Yeah. So it was a very good show. Like I said at the top of the broadcast here, that it was one of the better Rumbles we've probably had in a while. It's not an all-time Rumble live event, but it was very good. So
yeah, I enjoyed both. I'm also B+. I loved both Rumble matches and the main event. The women's match, as you said, it was a TV quality match.
Mm-hmm.
The Mountain Dew match, no, and and then Hardy. I don't know. The musical guest should not make me sad. I should not feel bad for the guy performing because he sucked so much.
Yeah.
So, like Joey's sister, sorry, had to be done. Oh. So yeah, I'm in B+ with you guys. All 4 of us agree.
Yeah.
We're thinking right there. And with that, I think we're gonna wrap things up. Guys, if you are watching this on the replay, please share your thoughts on the Royal Rumble. All the socials are up there. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. If you want to follow Ray on Twitter,
ta-da,
there he is. He has the most entertaining Twitter feed and his game streams too. Catch Ray on Twitch.
Yes.
Same deal, Ray Carsillo.
Yes.
And guys, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time.